Here we are. Good morning, Colorado. 10 October, Wednesday. Chemtrail. I've already seen two fly through this, hit that just inside of the end. And then our lenticulars, we saw them form about 10 o'clock last night. And they've just been there the whole night. You can see the waves that are comprising this beast. Some big boys here, and some smaller waves. It's just these two inner tracks were kind of cool. Wanted to point those out. And these aren't nearly as prominent as they were a bit ago. But this is not a mounted wavelength. This is a manufactured wavelength. And you can see it extends south along the Sangres. Chemtrail out here. And all the activity out over the northern San Juans. You can see the wedges that they're forming. The wedges. And when we get to the other side of the wedge, there's a cloud. I'm going to turn behind me. This shape requires a wedge. Requires a base or a slope and a top, or one that is spreading or coming together. These shapes require wedges. This is a big part of what the trails do, is fly in these wedges, and it generates an airfoil-like shape. Look at this. This is going to be an interesting day. Final Cut crashed during last night's thing, so I got to start all over again. Just a little bit annoying. Alright, head inside. I'm just going to turn around, and we've got a plane coming in. Chemtrail plane hitting the precise end of this. It's kind of what they do. Mark off geometry to see what the weather inside is doing. That was a perfect flight. So where does he go? He hits the end of the trail. I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what's going on. It's about geometry, people. It's about geometry. This guy, Delta, just left this mark. Come on. That guy. So they're planning on extending the lenticular northbound. We just had the plane hit the end of this. So they're working this lenticular. Heard this guy from inside. It's just that noisy. But he's leaving this big old fat mark. It's gonna be one that's gonna stick. He's low. He's low, 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 low. It's been a pretty utterly fascinating day. We've had all kinds of trails come through here. I haven't done a lot of photography because we got pretty overcast for a spell. So this cloud hits the top of this trail. And then there's a whole different behavior on the back side of it. And this cloud even has a void here. Very different behavior on this side versus this side. No, unmistakable in its difference. And then the trail begins to fan out as it approaches this cloud, and then it's gone. Gone, 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 until it begins to show up here. And then as it moves to the south, look at this. Look at this. And so this plane, and why do these little edges shoot out? You know, there's not much that's uniform about this particular trail, but all the different geometries inside this cloud versus this cloud versus this cloud, and they're side by bloody side. And we of course have the chemtrail going between these two, and I wish we could see this in a dimensional nature, like from 23,000 feet. That would be beautiful. But then just as we roll down this, you can see all of this texture, all of this wave action coursing across this cloud. Look at the texture in here. Unreal. And so it continues on the whole length of the cloud. Little track in here. There's just something happening. And is this the life force? Or is this unnatural? Are these man-made waves? Come up in here. You can see all this texture. It almost looks like the clouds are, well, I like to call it peaking. Look at if you were to vibrate or resonate the top of a pond or a pot of water, you would see these peaks. Problem is that there isn't a set pattern. There's almost a randomness or a sponginess going on to it. And then as we look away from the trail, you notice that it just happens to be whitest right there in the middle of that gap. And then we'll look back to the east, and then the bizarreness just continues out across the southern part of the Sangres. So, just some funky clouds. And I have the time lapse pointed in the opposite direction. I think we've got something happening here. There's an axis. There's something that's happening right here. You see kind of a different wave in this cloud versus this cloud. If you're not watching this in 720p on YouTube, then go back to your settings, that little gear box down at the bottom of the screen. Click on it so you can get your video resolution set up, and you can look at this stuff in high definition. It makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. All right, that's about it for now. Look off to the north. You see we've had a trail hit right there. You can see how it bends, it torques right at the point where this other trail moved across it. That's what it's all about. They mark off these places where there's these discontinuities, these bends, these breaks, these tears in the trails. Decoding this stuff is stupidly simple, guys. It's stupidly simple. Understanding what the waves are doing is a little bit more of a challenge. Notice that as a trail came through here, denoted a change in the behavior of this cloud. This side is very different than this side. A few clouds on the western horizon and a little bit of haze and dust in the San Luis Valley today. And we're coming up on the last hour of sunlight, maybe even the last 45 minutes thinking about it now. And chemtrails were thick this morning, most of the afternoon. And now it's really settled down. There's a few shorter ones. They're still present. They're just not necessarily marking like they were today. I was going to show you just some strong rippling that had been in here. It's kind of moderated in the last few minutes. Then we just see other wavelengths. In here at the center of a cube there. And you can see it coming around, pointing out, and then another center mark here. Something that's coming right in through here. Just all kinds of, there's multiple different wavelengths. These gaps in here, and it's just, there's resonances. There's resonances. And so it's not like a regular lenticular cloud. It's just a little something up there that's holding some geometry. I mean, look at this from this cloud. See this here, 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 and here. How we have these shapes coming off, kind of like in this expanding radial shape. You can run a straight line across here, off this side. I mean, each of these clouds in the back is there's like a scoop, pulling them up and off, is whatever is creating this hole right there. That hole is moving towards the left. And it is kind of vaulting this cloud, move back up and over like this. So these holes are moving this way, and then the cloud has to do this up and over action. I can get behind the chimney stack here, and you can see resonance is happening in here with multiple aspects of the wave there. And now see, it's filling in. It's filling in. Waves first, clouds later. And around to come in and out of my cloud. We've got a plane. Not only one, but two. Let's come on in. We know this is a Southwest 737 variation. And then just ahead of him is this guy. So, there's some angle. About 20 degrees. And notice how the big fat trail will cross this little one pretty much the distance after this guy fades. When he crossed up here. It's another one of those tail clip examples where his trail was just this long and the plane came along and kissed the end of his tail. Watch that. You'll see that happen often. So that tells us that these two planes are related. They're on the same mission task. They're working together. That's sunset going on now over the San Luis Valley. You can see the sun over the San Juans now. Clouds. Sometimes they're trails, sometimes they're just clouds. And then above this is what's interesting. It's this business. These white clouds. How, well, they show texture. Look at the hairiness coming off the top of this one. Look at that. And then what caught my attention initially was over here with these cut-ins, and then the sweeping out of the rib that the bird just flew through, right through there. And it repeats again here with the rippling up on this side, the cube in the middle, possibly right in here. It'll look better on the big screen. And then another cut out here, another indentation with a cloud in front of it. You can see, looks like it's the leading edge of the lift or the curl, or like you're peeling away a layer, thin layer, and it curls off like that keel of a ship, the bow of a ship, excuse me. But it was just that caught my attention, just above the clouds at sunset on the 10th of October, 2012. All right, everybody, here's to brighter skies ahead. Thursday morning, October 11. Southern Colorado just had this plane go through. Looks like a regular contrail flight, but yet he and his partner left this buddy. There's another tick off to the south. And when we see these ticks, when we see these kind of contrails showing up over the mountains and persisting for this long a time, lenticular clouds are not far away. You can see how this cloud, this trail kind of rolls over. There's just kind of this high point right in here. And then it does a little bit of a twist action, a little, but it rolls over. So there's something happening below, another layer coming at it from another side. There's this twisting happening. And that is key to getting clouds to form, is to get that twist happening. Another one of these planes coming in over the mountains, leaving a little bit of a trail over the mountains that continues to remain visible. So it's probably one of their, well, let's just say, as I said in the earlier clip, they're working on the lenticulars. We got rain coming in 2 days, so we'll see how this See how all this comes together. It's always fun either way to watch them work. The lenticular showing up just as I thought. Didn't take but about 90 minutes. From the marking trails and the few lenticulars we saw this morning, we had a spat of blue skies, and now the geometry is starting to show up as the rain is due in tomorrow. That low that's been sitting off of the California coast for every bit of 10 days now, it's finally on the move as the Pacific gets active. Storms coming off of Siberia, and essentially just going to start moving things along. So we're getting some of this boiling action over some of the mountains to the east. We had a lot of waves in this cloud. That has kind of gone a little more smoother than it had been. Neither of us are electricians. Yeah, not even close. I started to say the clouds got a little funky now that the storm is getting a little bit closer. We're still seeing some of these big fatties. This is probably a 4-engine 747 or C-17. They tend to deploy some of those military transport flights, doing this action from time to time. I don't see them, but maybe every other month. They're not common. It happens, but they're not common. And then you can just see some of the, not really getting it. We're getting another trail in here, but it's kind of obscured by the clouds. But ahead of the storm, it always gets a little odd. The waves and the ripples and the curlicues, and those kind of energies show up. That's some pretty crazy stuff well off to the north earlier this afternoon, but it really is kind of simmered down. I'd hoped it would have just gotten stronger and stronger, but that's not the case. At least not in the moment I've stepped outside. Some resonance waves up here. Of course, there's always kind of a hole-ish kind of thing on the end. And this kind of looks like we have this going on here, right in here. We'll come in a little bit. You can see what I'm talking about. We have a shape like this. On this side we have essentially a very shallow chevron, or an inverted V shape coming up right here. And then the waves, they're just tending to get larger and larger. And it's always fun. The day before a storm arrives is the day that I find the clouds most interesting. And we'll probably not see a lot of sunshine tomorrow as this Pacific storm makes its way inland. So we're soaking it up today here in southern Colorado. Got out to the west, got some blue skies. Have some wave clouds here. There's always a plane on the distance. There's always a plane on the distance. So that's it for the moment. Then there's this curious feature overhead. Looks like a wing, center point. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see a plane go through this spot. It's just kind of what they do. Something happened in here. These two are probably related. I don't know how they couldn't be. Alright, have a little segment of a trail here. A little persistent guy, a little fatty cumulus there. And we've got an area of clouds that's just coming together through that quote-unquote boiling kind of effect. You can see that. And then we've got our other cloud here that we just looked at. There's the centerpiece. It's already coming apart. And this plane's splitting the two. Splitting the two pretty evenly. And I can already see that he's a southwest mock-up. Come in close. And there he goes. Oh, southwest. You sold your soul, guys. You sold your soul. And so he hit the very tip of that cloud with his tail. And this feature continues to get brighter even in the 1 minute that I've had this clip running. In the 1 minute, that's changed. Yep, it's real time, folks. What they do is real time. Alright, we're not even 4 minutes later, and that whole cloud formation is gone. It's gone. That flame flew through it, and the whole thing is now just falling apart. It's done. Finito. It happens that quickly, people. It happens that quickly with these guys. Got another guy up here, and notice he's not leaving a trail. Well, he is leaving a trail. It's just not one of the marking ones like we see down below. There he is. And I have another one up here. Just now coming in where I can see, hear him. Steady here. See if we can iris down and make out a paint scheme. Steady would help. Still, he's not trailing. Oh, yeah, he is. He's still a trailer. There he goes. There he goes. As soon as he got to the cloud. Let's see if we got some cloud to get through here. As soon as he comes out the other side, he's doing nothing. Not a thing. So that's how so many of them get around, kind of unseen, is not doing their work until they're on site. And then it was just a quick little pulse. And he's coming up from behind. And then we still have all these waves coming along over here. All this action, which you probably see globally anymore, as this manipulation thing. Then now this trail is going to get engulfed into that developing cloud. It's going to happen pretty quickly. And it goes to be incorporated into the cloud and then rained out on somebody's watershed. Somebody's going to have to drink that.